All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How are you all doing? Yeah, Andre, I saw that. We're going to talk about that story. Actually, I'm just right here. I was just looking at that story. 12 dead people in San Bernardino Mountains. Mm. I'll repeat what I said yesterday. Please try not to misinform people. And I do blame the mainstream media, mostly, and the powers that be, mostly, for not telling people the truth about what's going. Not really, letting people know how severe the problem is. And on top of that, putting people through things that lead them to believe. When you don't tell people the truth, they get wise to it. But one of the unintended consequences of that is that they don't believe anything you say ever. So, right. One of the reasons why people don't believe that we have a climate, thing going on is because they've figured out that they've been lied to about so many things. They just throw that on the pile. Well, probably this too. Again, though, if you are a breathing, thinking person and you see what's going on around you, or you see what's going on in the world as far as extreme weather, like, come on, you got to put a couple things together. But stop trying to, you're putting people in harm's way when you try to downplay or make it say, oh, there's nothing going on. It's really not that bad. This is like any other time. It's not. It's not like any other time. People are frickin' dying. People are having their houses demolished or burned up. People are dying in apartment building collapses. They died not due to the snow, i.e. natural causes. What? Well, hold on. I saw this and I was going to talk about it, but I don't know. What are they saying about this? A lack of preparedness in communication. Is that what you mean, Andre? Outside of just the snow. 12 people have been found dead in Southern California's San Bernardino County. Hold on, let me try and get it on the screen. Get it on the screen. A week after back-to-back winter storms dropped over 100 inches of snow in some locations. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department said Thursday that at least one death was weather-related, but the other 11 were not considered storm-related. Okay. And that, what? Okay. Were they found all together? Or were these 12 separate people? I don't understand. So far, we can only confirm one, a traffic accident, as weather-related. The preliminary information on the other deaths does not indicate they are weather-related, but those investigations... Oh, so they're actually trying to play it down. Is that what they're trying to do? I mean, you have people, posting videos saying, please send help. We found a bunch of people dead, but it's not due to the storm. They're just dead. You know, they just died. Okay. In the middle of a severe weather event, they just died. Okay, and it's not what wasn't related to the weather. Why would they do this? Maybe it's to downplay the severity of what is going on with climate change, right? That's actually what they're trying to do. Just like every other journalist. That's not true of me to say, but that just like 98% of the journalists out there, even the ones that are supposed to be telling you the truth, they're all trying to downplay this to your detriment. Right? They're all trying to downplay it. All the rivers are drying up all over the world. And, that's just normal. That's natural. That happens every day. And nuclear power is great, by the way. They're lying to you about nuclear power. They're lying to you. Okay. Well, when we can't cool the nuclear reactors because the water levels are too low in the river, I'm sure it's totally safe. It's going to be totally safe. Okay. All righty there. However, the storm that struck on March, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, there was no preparedness, says, what's Candace Watson? I've lived here on and off since 94, so I've seen some big storms up here, and I've seen the way that they're handled in the years past. And historically speaking, this is very different. Residents have expressed grievances over both slow aid and lack of communication from the county as food and pantry slowly dwindles. We just keep getting told that help is on the way, but we don't ever see anything. We see 20 dozers on the side of the highway, but they sit there for days, and we sit in our houses. Well, that's equally frustrating. What are they doing there? They can't run the bulldozers? I'm not really sure what's happening. We have a community up here that started with mostly elderly people. That is a lot of snow. That's in Mammoth Mountain, by the way. That is a lot of snow. Some people have been there for weeks with their small children and pets with no food. They came to vacation rentals without supplies. They don't have firewood at these Airbnbs, and the Airbnbs are not prepared for them to have any kind of snow like this. Are they going to mention the 12 people again? Are they going to talk about what happened to the 12 people? "12 people died, but just because." Okay, that is a weird thing to say in this article. You're right, Andre, it's fairly unbelievable that they would say something like that. Obsolete Optics says, I wonder if those people who died of natural causes had heart attacks from shoveling the heart attack snow. Well, you know what? That's actually a thing, Obsolete Optics. That's actually not a... I know that people like to joke about, really random, making the bed and, eating too much sugar or something causing all of a sudden all the rise in heart attack. I understand that's a thing. But the thing about people having heart attacks shoveling snow, that's been around for a long time. For older people, it's like a combination of the cold and the exercise and the right and I don't know. That's been a long-standing thing for a long time. They say if you're over a certain age, do not go out and shovel snow because it's like a combination of the factors is bad, causes people to actually have heart attacks. That's actually a real thing. But there's also another thing going on where a lot of people are having heart attacks, due to other things, right? So. But that is a weird twist in that story, isn't it? Only one really died because of the weather. Okay. But 12 people just, they just decided this was the week. Nadia, you had a heart attack at 35? Wow. Sorry to hear that. That is young. Was it because of a condition? Was it because of, or maybe I'm asking too much. Sorry. Let me not pry. But yeah. And why, this is a really good question about why the media isn't reporting. Nobody's talking about the crazy Asian heat wave. Again, the powers that be, they want to talk about climate change if it's convenient for them. What they don't want to know, yes, Andre, I'm sure we will never know exactly how many died. Probably not. Climate change is a convenient, thing to say when you want to do something that. Oh, okay, Nadia, I see. Yeah, when it's convenient, when it's useful tool to get funding or money or to do whatever, push green green technologies on people. That's when climate change is useful. But what they don't want to do is acknowledge how crazy the weather actually is. They don't want to acknowledge how out of whack everything is on the planet. They don't want to acknowledge, the worldwide droughts going on, the worldwide, crazy low levels of water in all the rivers. They don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to acknowledge that China is having an insane heat wave in March, or that we broke a temperature record in Texas the other, a week ago. I didn't hear anything about that. Jackson Hinkle trashes climate change and global warming. That's silly. He used to be a climate change activist. It's fashionable, I really try not to be too upset, even though I have a reason to be upset. But it's fashionable. It's fashionable for some people in a particular lane of journalism to, scoff at climate change, which is just as dumb as doing anything else that's fashionable, right? Anyways, crazy heat wave going on. Of course. Oh, climate change. Yeah. There's insane temperature anomaly going on in China. Out of control. Good question asked there. Why isn't the media reporting on this? So we're going to talk a little more about that. More records broken. I talked about this yesterday, but more records broken the next day already. Today, 179 weather stations across the country broke the record. In early March, 10 stations tied the record, and 60% of the weather stations in Hebei province broke the record. This early 60% broke the record. This early March will be the warmest ever recorded in China. Yes, extreme temperatures around the world, says absolute monster heat wave going on. And we've been talking about this for a few days. This is ongoing. Sorry. This is happening, right? This is not made up, not a joke, not a test. It is happening. If climate change were such a big, a thing, such a ruse, why wouldn't this be front page news? If they were using climate change to scare the pants off you, why wouldn't this be front page news? Biggest type fonts available. Screaming headlines all morning and all day long. If that was the point of the climate change, why wouldn't they grasp onto an actual real story and go, good God, oh my God, we're all going to die, right? Just like with another story that got that treatment, that exact treatment. Oh my God, we're the world, everyone's going to die. There's be millions of people dying. Millions and billions. With this one, crickets. So you tell me whether it's real or not. You tell me whether it's made up. Jackson Hinkle. I'm just... Greenland also doing the same. Massive, massive heat wave in Greenland. Greenland temperatures surge up to 50 degrees above normal. This will fuel even more melting. It's from Go Green. Imagine if New York or London were 50 degrees above normal on a hot summer day. No less, not just March. 50 degrees above normal. Imagine. Would you be laughing about the climate change then? Would you be like, ha, 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 oh. Right. If it was suddenly 135 in Knoxville, Tennessee, what would you say then? I don't know. It wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't really matter whether it was something. It would be, you would be like, oh my God, feel like I'm going to die. Oh, and then you would die probably, because at 135, I don't know how long you'd probably be real uncomfortable. Probably that might be a time when people expire. Not even 50 degrees above normal, right? 135. If let's say, the highest temperature, in that space was, whatever, 102. Well, then that's only 33 degrees above normal. What if it was 50 degrees above normal? Then what? Then what would you say if it was, 152 degrees? You'd be like, bonkers. Nobody would even be around to make some dumb comment about it. They're trying to tell you it's climate change. You wouldn't even, nobody would be able to even mouth the words, because it'd be 152. You'd be like a Nirvana shirt. All right. But God dang, that's hot, right? 50 degrees above normal. Well, let's look. I mean, Europe hasn't really gotten a lot of snow this winter, and or water. So Europe is still in a drought. Winter drought. Very precarious. So they're not even getting the respite that the west coast of the U.S. is getting. Europe faces growing water crisis as winter drought worsens. Multiple governments warn of critical shortages as heat waves and lack of rain leave river systems depleted. This is from March 4th. Lac de Montbel in southwest France is more than 80% empty. This is early March. The boats of the local sailing club stranded on its desiccated brown banks. In northern Italy, tourists can walk to the small island of San Biagio, normally reached only by boat from the shore of Lake Garda. We talked about that already. Where the water level is 70 centimeters or 27 inches lower than average. The Alps have had 63% less snow than usual. So it's going to be a long, hot summer in Europe already, unless they get a reprieve, unless they get some kind of dump. And they could. They might still get a dump. You never know. But if this continues this way, then Europe is going to be a very interesting place this summer. In Germany, shallow waters on the Rhine are already disrupting barge traffic, forcing boats heading up into Central Europe to load at half capacity. In Catalonia, now short of water for 3 years, Barcelona has stopped watering its parks. After its driest summer in 500 years, much of Europe is in the grip of a winter drought, driven by climate breakdown that is prompting growing concern among governments over the water security for homes, farmers, and factories across the continent. A study published has concluded that Europe has been in a drought since 2018, and its water situation is now very precarious. France recently recorded 32 days without significant rainfall, the longest period since records began in 1959. But if you remember, all the major rivers in Europe, China, and even the Mississippi were extremely low last year. All of Spain has been in drought since January 2022. Anyways, I don't know. Yeah, if they don't get any more snow, or much more snow this winter, or a lot of snow this winter, there's going to be more extremely low rivers in the summer, right? Let's see what else. We just got a whole list of bad news. Fish in hot water, decades of logging tied to warmer temperatures, unprotected salmon bearing streams. Salmon are feeling the heat after decades of logging. I'm just kind of reading this for the headline, not necessarily going in depth on this, but the salmon have been in trouble for years, right? And they've closed salmon fishing, for I don't know how many years in a row. I can't even count. I can't remember how many years in a row. they've closed salmon fishing all along the West Coast. As trees are cut down along waterways, small streams are exposed to more direct sunlight, while logging across watersheds can change the way water flows throughout the whole system. The combined effect can leave wild salmon swimming in waters that are warmer than they'd like. And that's not just like, oh, this water is so warm. No, that's like, oh, we're going to die now because the water's too warm. That's different. The overall implication of this is profound. The impact of forestry, it can warm water several degrees, which is a ton actually from a fish perspective. Yeah. Anyways. It's just another thing that we're doing. To all the creatures of the planet. But humans are fine. Humans are okay. We're good. Don't worry. Let's see. Let's talk about this one. The aerosol masking effect. Which is, this is where I do get a little woo, but look at all those planes and ships. For decades, this area has been kept relatively cool by sulfur emissions from ships, but this changed in 2020. This is Jess Collapse talking about the aerosol masking. They're retweeting this. Something the climate environment movement is yet to factor into their campaigns and demands. Right. A whole other level of climate change that nobody ever really talks about. Why? Because it's just, we only like to talk about the very easy things. This is a whole other level of how bad the situation is. On January 1st, 2020, new shipping regulation came into effect, decreasing the maximum amount of sulfur in shipping fuels from 3.5% to 0.5%. From 2020, we see a rapid increase in the amount of solar radiation that's being absorbed by the region highlighted above. Oh, yikes. If this trend continues, that could mean that the northern hemisphere mid-latitudes where many of us live will warm much more rapidly. It could also impact global and regional weather systems like the monsoons. More extreme weather is likely. Oceans are already warming more rapidly. Sea surface temperatures have spiked for the northern hemisphere mid-latitudes in 2022. These were 1 C above the 1979-2000 average. It takes a lot of heat to warm the oceans. So these are the sea surface temperature anomalies. Right? This is what it looks like for the last few decades. This all coincides with a record rate of global warming. So here's some evidence that maybe a lack of the lack of aerosols is helping to heat up the planet even more. Air pollution has also been hiding the precipitation increase. I don't know if he means precipitation, but hold on. Oh, I guess he does. When GHG and aerosol forcings are combined, the global mean precipitation increase due to GHG warming has until recently been completely masked by aerosol drying. Oh, so the air. All right. So, okay. Took me a second to get that. So I guess not only are the aerosols keeping the planet cooler, they're also keeping the planet drier. So maybe also another reason why we're seeing such crazy storms happening in some parts of the world, like this part of the world. But in plenty of places, right? We see, atmospheric rivers, bomb cyclones, hurricanes, floods. That's what we've been seeing. So, just another factor in the whole, global warming understanding of what is going on with global warming. And probably why, they are. They do understand. They do absolutely do. They, capital they understand that, certain things keep areas cool, keep the planet cool. They already understand everything about this, and they don't need to do any more investigation into it. They already, because they've been doing it for a long time. So I don't know. Probably what we don't know is like to what extent and to what effect, right? We don't know the extent and the effect. So if you don't know the extent of it, then you can't really judge, like, is it a lot? Is it a little bit? Is it medium? Is the effect, are they running up against the very edges of, all they can do? Or can they do much more? Or what are the parameters that are going on with that? Lots of people would like to know. But it's obvious that they've been trying to keep us cool. With the unintentionals and the intentionals. Lastly, I don't know what to really think about this one. A lot of people have been talking about this new avian virus that is supposed to be behind our egg shortages. And apparently it has jumped to sea lions. And I mean, these pictures are very concerning. Torres says, I'm feeling like being in a cult where the apocalypse is always failing to happen. No. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I actually, I do. And I've pissed off all the Over the Falls people so many times. You know, I've done this channel for 6 years. Been doing this channel for 6 years. And, you know, I've had countless people say, this is it. This is going to be the end. This year is the one. Here we go, Over the Falls. It's we're the, it's, you know, whatever. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, but it does, you know, I just try to say we're trending into a bad place, but we're not, you know, I cannot say like this is the bad year, this is the one, this is when everything. I think that is dangerous ground to get into. And I always, these days, I'm like, I don't know, you know, oh, this summer is going to be the worst. Oh, this is when this is when it all goes away. This is when, you know, we have a blue ocean event. This is when we lose, you know, food supply. You know, don't do that. Just don't do that. Sorry. I know people get real, like, happy to, they get all giddy about saying stuff like that. Like, don't do it. Because you're going to look foolish. And I don't know. Nobody knows the time or the date or the year. So, anyways, this is at least 3,500 sea lions in Peru have recently died of H5N1 bird flu. Nearly 5 times as many as previously reported, the government says. Oh, it's really hard for me. It sucks because we've been fed some stories about, you know, things like this. We've been told some stories. So, you know, it's, I mean, this looks incredibly sad and also very scary. And I'm not saying that I want this to be true or I don't want it to be true. I don't know. But when you know, it really sucks because you see things sometimes in the news and you have to go, should I be skeptical of this news story? Andre says, I'm sure the 12 dead people thought it was the apocalypse before they perished, right? And there you go. there you go, right? Some people are experiencing an apocalypse. Some people are experiencing extreme flooding, snowfall, fires. Their apartment collapsed right on top of them. I mean, that's fairly apocalyptic for them. But point taken, Andre. So I don't know. I mean, this is something to watch. Something to watch. The H5N1, you know, getting into sea lions. It's good to keep an eye on. I have a very large amount of skepticism for people trying to tell me about viruses and pandemics. I have a very big skeptical bone, and rightly so. And I think everyone should. So now it's even harder when something really is going on. It's going to be even harder for the powers that be to tell people about things, because everybody's like, "Really? Are you sure? You mean this time? Is it real? The boy who cried wolf. Are you sure it's real this time?" Right? You when you do things like that to people, you induce that reaction in them, and they're like, "Yeah," and then you're like, "But no, really, this time it's serious." Yeah. And that's what you get from doing that stuff. So the moral of the story is don't lie. Do not lie. Lie. That's why lying is bad. Do I have to tell you that? Anyways, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm saying? Does anybody know what I'm saying? This is bad, though. It's unclear how the sea lions were infected, but researchers have not been able to rule out mammal-to-mammal transmission. At least 63,000 birds at 8 protected natural sites in Peru have also died since the start of the outbreak, including boobies, pelicans, and guanayas, I guess is how you say that. Sorry, guys. I got kicked out of my StreamYard. That was strange. Hope I didn't say anything weird. Anyways, earlier this week, China reported a case of H5N1 bird flu in a 53-year-old woman from Jiangsu. And of course, it's in China. So, anyways. There's that. News came just a week after an 11-year-old girl in Cambodia died from an older variant of the virus, which also infected her father. In January, Ecuador reported the first human case of H5N1 bird flu in South America. The 9-year-old became seriously ill, but has since recovered. A 38-year-old woman in China died in September. All right, well, let's, we'll keep an eye on this story, shall we? It's not necessarily something to dismiss at all. Right out, right, just out of hand, dismiss it. But that's the other thing too, is who knows. The other thing I wanted to talk about. Well, we're going to stay in this lane a little bit. And we've heard things about this before, right? About viruses from long ago. That was so weird. Why did I get kicked out of my StreamYard? Scientists have revived a zombie virus that spent 48,000 years frozen in permafrost. Well, first of all, why do you need to revive it? What would that be? Apparently there are viruses frozen in, permafrost from thousands of years ago. And I don't have any reason to doubt that. I'd say that's probably pretty true. It seems fairly logical. I don't know if you want to revive these viruses, and so that seems kind of weird, right? Let's see. Creative Experiment says 10-year treasuries are outperforming stocks right now. Investors are going to pull out soon. I'm guessing this month. I'm sticking to my economic collapse prediction. Okay. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, you may be totally right on, Creative Experiments. I have no idea. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's about all you can do. Perpetual Shadowban says bypassing World War III to go to World War Z is an interesting approach. Glad he gave me the link. That's cool. Scientists have revived a zombie virus that spent 48,500 years frozen in permafrost. A zombie virus. Anyways, warmer temperatures in the Arctic are thawing the region's permafrost. That's true. A frozen layer of soil beneath the ground. Potentially stirring viruses that, after laying dormant for tens of thousands of years, could endanger animal and human health. I mean, it's not, that's not a weird idea. That's not a get out of here. But, I don't know. Crackling? Okay. I'd like to get a little crackle at the end of the show. Check. All right. Should be better. If that was really going down. But what are they doing with these zombie viruses? Of course, to better understand the risks posed by frozen viruses, Jean-Michel Claverie, an emeritus professor of medicine and genomics at the Marseille, or Aix-Marseille University School of Medicine of Marseille, France, has tested Earth samples from the Siberian permafrost to see whether any viral particles contained therein are still infectious. He's in search of what he describes as zombie viruses, and he has found some. Claverie studies a particular type of virus he first discovered in 2003. Known as giant viruses, these are much bigger than the typical variety and visible under a regular light microscope rather than a more powerful electron microscope, which makes them a good model for this type of work, or this type of lab work. Let's see. He was inspired partly by a team of Russian scientists who in 2012 revived a wildflower from a 30,000-year-old seed tissue found in a squirrel's burrow. Well, that's, wildflowers, totally different from a virus. In 2014, he managed to revive a virus he and his team isolated from the permafrost, making it infectious for the first time in 30,000 years. Again, why would you do this? Oh, so we could better understand it. Okay. But wouldn't that raise the possibility of somebody actually getting this virus? I don't know. This sounds like one of those, scientifically kind of on the dumb side, but we'll go with it. For safety, he's chosen to study a virus that could only target single-celled amoebas, not animals or humans. He repeated the feat 2015, isolating a different type of virus that also targeted amoebas. And in his latest research, published February 18th in the journal Viruses, Claverie and his team isolated several strains of ancient virus from multiple samples of permafrost taken from 7 different places across Siberia and showed that they could each infect cultured amoeba cells. Those latest strains represent 5 new families of viruses on top of 2 he had revived previously. The oldest was almost 48,500 years old. He fears people regard his research as scientific curiosity and don't perceive the prospect of ancient viruses coming back to life as a serious public health threat. Well, if you don't bring them back to life, then maybe they won't be a health threat. Do you ever think of that one? It's reminding me of something. It's sounding like something else, right? You know what the people that are like, well, we got, we're going to combine some things and see what happens, and because we don't want, we're getting ready for this to happen in the wild, and oh, whoopsie, you know what I'm saying? Oh darn, how did that get out? Um, Apparently they exhumed a body that contained genomic material from the influenza strain responsible for the 1918 pandemic. And they traced it all the way back to Fort Riley, Kansas, which is where it came from. In 2012, scientists confirmed the 300-year-old mummified remains of a woman buried in Siberia contain a genetic signature of the virus that causes smallpox. Ooh. An anthrax outbreak in Siberia that affected dozens of humans and more than 2,000 reindeer between July and August in 2016 has also been linked to the deeper thawing and permafrost during exceptionally hot summers. Now, I'm not saying that this can't happen, and it seems quite likely. Again, I do believe in a warming world. In a warming world, humans, the way the way viruses, bacteria, fungus, whatever, the way it interacts with all species, including humans, is going to change, and may change radically, and change so radically that things get very weird. I'm a firm believer in that actually happening. The Dow Jones is down quite a bit. Yeah, well, there's been a couple of announcements in the last couple of days, right? The Fed chair spoke yesterday, and something came out today. What was it? Farm payroll or something? Anyways, non-farm payroll. I think that's what it was. So some economic indicators are coming out and whacking the stock market, right? Anyways, I don't know. That's weird. Okay, guys, I got to wrap it up. William, I'm going to take your call. Can we I'll take a call for about 2 minutes, and then I got to go. But what's going on, William? Are you there?
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me now, Kevin?
Yeah.
Oh, did you ever see the Twilight episode, Serving Man?
Remind me of that one.
There are aliens that come to supposedly help people, but
Oh,
serving, it's a, go ahead.
yeah. No, I think I to serve man. It's a cookbook.
Serving,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it is to serve man, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I concur with what you're speculating. I mean, Doctor, I was just looking up Stephanie Seneff from MIT, and she talks, first of all, we got to get all the chemicals out of our exposure daily that's overloading our detox system, you know what I mean, from our food, water, medicines, so
Yeah.
we can fight these things. Let's start breaking down our bodies, right? Immune system, ability to fight. And then she's very much into what some would call naturopathics and using minerals and herbs. And I mean, she's out of MIT. She did a great report on the vaccine with Dr. Peter McCullough and the diseases caused by it, including prion disease. So
Yeah.
she's on top of her game, man. So that's my angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's let Mother Nature fight off Mother Nature, the negative effects that can come. But anyway, in the live chat, I just want to quickly say for people who view your episode later and look for references. Informed Consent Action Network just reviewed some old Pfizer report March 6th and found that enlarged spleens, enlarged adrenal glands, enlarged lymph glands, kidney and liver congestion, increased fibrogenic concentration. All this fibers are new, as we know, you and I know, but this is just a new report from Informed Consent Action Network. They knew, Kev. You know what I mean? They knew in their trial.
Sure.
You and I knew that. Oh, we're on. Well, whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't trip anything. But, okay, so let's see, real quick, running back through the World Economic Forum, Young Global Leaders. This is Unlimited Hangout. It's basically the Kissinger continuum from the Bilderberg Group thumbnail version. And there's Unlimited Hangout is Whitney Webb, you know, that group. So there's evidence there, the Kissinger continuum. And, you know, Klaus Schwab didn't start anything. It's just handed down. It's just a new branding. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
And there we are. And then, the expose recently, October 22nd. You remember the studies that were out about a year or a half ago about how the spike protein can reverse transcriptase in the liver cells in vitro, you know, and actually splice with DNA. Do you remember those? Those are out like originally in 2021. Well, there's an October 2022 study that's verifying that, and that was in the expose. Did that make sense? In other words, we have verification of the original study that this is actually happening in the human body within 6 hours of getting injected.
Wow. Okay.
Right, wow.
Yeah.
All right, I know you're wrapping up. I just wanted to throw those things in there.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, William. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. I have to wrap it up. But thank you all for hanging out with me every single day. On YouTube, Callin, and on Rockfin. Good way to support the show is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. Patreon/blackbearnews. Rockfin tips, greatly accepted. YouTube tips, greatly accepted. And there are other places to donate to the show in the description box, Venmo and Cash App. And thank you all for your support. I appreciate you all. And I will see you tomorrow. Until next time, peace.